Oh man, so are the Fed going to rug pull crypto and Fantom? Fantom is currently sitting at $2.12 after a crazy day yesterday, which sent it down to 205. Initially, we got the inflation figures. We heard that inflation came in at the highest figure we've seen for 40 years in the United States, which is crazy. That initially led to a dip as we saw a bunch of sellers exit the market with short-term timeframes, and then we saw that dip getting bought, right? We actually posted a higher high. So we fell, we ran all the way up in the crypto market on Bitcoin, and then we fell again. What caused that to happen? We're going to take a look at that. If you've not watched my video from earlier in the day explaining this Fed non-emergency meeting and what's going on and why this is a whole bunch of FUD, go watch that video first, then come back here because we're going to talk about what's going on with Fantom and what I expect to see in the charts. We're also going to be talking about whether I think Fantom in the long term can compete with Ethereum and what my thoughts are around that. So make sure you hit the like button, make sure you subscribe. As always, support NordVPN. If you haven't got yourself set up on a VPN, guys, make sure you click the link in the description. Coupon code OLDMAN will give you 70% off a 2-year plan on NordVPN. So you're talking 24 months plus a month they throw in for free. 25 months of coverage for about $2 or $3 a month is an absolute no-brainer. You'll be anonymous. You can browse the web, log into your exchanges, log into your wallet, stream from different countries, play games with other people in different countries. A VPN is super useful, but most importantly, it makes sure your IP address is anonymous. Okay, very important if you're playing around on the web. Right, let's head into the charts because you can see here, we'll come onto the Fantom chart very briefly. I just want to briefly touch the Bitcoin video. And as always, guys, you guys already know, if you want the full Bitcoin video, go watch the previous video uploaded earlier on today. That will give you the full macro view. And this video is for Fantom. But in essence, Bitcoin obviously had a massive crazy day yesterday. Initially, we fell after the CPI reading. We managed to recover somewhat, and then we fell some more. Okay, so we can see here, we're coming at a critical level. Let's head over into the hourly to make this a bit more visible here on Bitcoin. We're coming to an important level here, which is trying to hold some. We bounced well off 43,000. Now we need to hold the 43.5 level and start working back towards 44.5. Okay, once we work through 44.5, we're going to get again some resistance here at 45 and then 45.5. So every $500 here on Bitcoin, we've got some hourly support and resistance for us to break through. So a little bit of work to do, but we know the market is a little bit volatile right now because of things like this, right? So Bullard, one of the Fed's voting members, came out and said that he wants to see a 1% rate hike by July. And again, if you want to understand why that's just FUD and a bunch of rhetoric, just go check my video from earlier. But in essence, to give you the short of it, this guy is a hawk. He's been a hawk for a long time. And we covered that in the video earlier on. You can go back to this article dated all the way September 2021. He was always aggressive. He wanted to reduce, he wanted to start the taper early. He wanted to have liftoff on interest rates early. He wanted to shrink the balance sheet early. He's always been that. But you need to remember the FOMC has 12 people voting. And the 12 people will have different opinions on what happened. So you can also check this article out from Bloomberg, but very quickly, if I can find you the bit to talk about. Let's see if I can find that. There you go. Centrists among the top of Fed officials appear skeptical of a half-point hike and are suggesting there is little need to start a hiking cycle with an aggressive move. Okay, so and you can see here what another one of the Fed voting members, Mary Daly, says. Okay, they all have different views, and it doesn't matter because ultimately they vote, and then Jerome Powell will make his decision. And again, even Bullard accepts this article was from today, by the way, by Bloomberg. But even Bullard here says the Fed isn't in that mode of emergency rate hikes, noting that there is little need to surprise markets now, given the tightening they are pricing in already. Exactly, guys. And we cover that off as well to say, let's look at the pricing. And you can head over here to the Fed rate monitor tool. And we know the FOMC are meeting on March the 16th. And you can see a 64% has been priced in that we're expecting a move between 0.5 and 0.75%. Okay, the markets know this. So even a 0.5% rate hike is not going to cause too much of an issue on March the 16th. A 0.75%, which is a triple rate hike, you could even argue that the markets two-thirds of the way have that priced in as well, which is very interesting. Of course, what would shock the market is an early rate increase, like if they announce one on Monday after their emergency meeting, which, by the way, is not an emergency meeting. It's a regular meeting that they have scheduled in their calendar, and they have them every single month, every week sometimes in certain months that they will meet. These things are normal. As they get data, they want to meet and discuss things and make sure that they're staying on top of things as opposed to just doing it at the FOMC meeting. Anyway, FOMC meeting, March 16th, okay? Jerome Powell for the whole time has been telegraphing his moves. He's been telling the market, I'm going to tell you when I'm going to taper. I'm going to tell you when I'm even thinking about tapering. So no doubt with his interest rates, he's going to keep giving clues and making sure the market is expecting what he's going to do. That's really important for him to do. Again, go watch that video for a more detailed rant/explanation about what's going on there if you're interested in some of the macroeconomics. Now, don't forget, we're going to get some important readings, okay? So we got the FOMC meeting on March the 16th. Before then, March the 10th, we're going to get the February CPI data. Very important, because that's the other piece of data that the FOMC is going to be armed with when they go into their meeting to decide if the rates are going to be hiked. Now, what are we seeing from a Fantom perspective? That's enough about the macroeconomy, but it's important we get that out of the way, because we can plot any pattern we want on this Fantom chart right now. Okay, but if the macroeconomics don't align and the market's jittery, which we know it's going to be jittery leading up to the Fed meeting, okay, then these chart patterns are irrelevant. And any YouTuber who's telling you otherwise to trade these chart patterns, guys, you've got to be careful with those people. So from a TA perspective, we were in this nice ascending channel, and we know these ascending channels tend to, for the most part, break to the downside. And you can see here, the clue was in this pivot point. As soon as you create this lower high, it's generally going to suggest that you're going to break to the downside. And we did. Now, this happened to coincide with the CPI reading, okay, which obviously triggered us down. We tried to pick up the dip, and now we're kind of curling over back again. So now we're in this a little bit of a downtrend here, as characterized by this yellow line. The hourly EMA starting to extend, which is saying we look like we're going to get a bit of a curling over down to 208 potentially. And also the pattern from this ascending, this wedge, when it breaks to the downside, normally gives you a price target at the bottom of the wedge. Okay, and the bottom of the wedge will give you 179, but we do have some support coming in at 194 first. We'd have to fight at this support, which has been an important support for us, dating back to many different levels. One here. Now, the other thing I wanted to share with you guys was this. So we can now see that the Fantom unique addresses chart has just crossed over 2 million, which is a very important milestone here for Fantom. And that got me thinking, because when Ethereum crossed 2 million unique addresses, they then went on to 11x their price over the next 8 months. Okay, now I'm not saying necessarily that's what Fantom can do here, but it's interesting to see that that's almost a bit of a critical mass, right? When you talk about software companies, or you're talking about hardware companies even, you have this critical mass, and once you get a certain number of subscribers or sign-ups to your SaaS product, you get this critical velocity, this escape velocity, which really helps you start lifting off, and then it becomes a bit of a viral flywheel, right? And maybe this is a clue that Fantom is starting to get to that point. And the interesting conversation to have now really is Fantom an Ethereum killer? Because every layer one solution, let's face it, the ultimate aim would be to be an Ethereum killer. Now, to give you the long and short of it and give you my answer very quickly, I think we're going to live in an environment of many chains, right? Similar to what Vitalik said. There will be many chains, and we need to figure out the interoperability aspect between those chains and how they operate. That's going to be really critical. I don't think there's going to be one winner. I think there's going to always be a couple of these players, whether it's Ethereum and a Solana and a Fantom, and it'll be survival of the fittest. Now, the benefit Fantom has had, so let's characterize it like this. So Ethereum had the benefit of being first. Early adopter advantage, right? They moved first, they broke things, it's messy, but they were the first, and that's why their TVL is far higher than anybody else. Their adoption is far higher, and everybody's still using Ethereum, right? They were the first. They were there, they've done it, they've built it. Fantom and these other more modern, I call them generation 2 layer ones, have a bit more of a chance, right? Because they have the benefit of seeing their older sibling kind of go through the struggles, right? So if you're a second child, then you'll know that. You can see your older sibling go through these struggles, and you can fix them in advance. So Fantom came out with better technology, solving the trilemma. You know, they've got this this hybrid model between asynchronous Byzantine fault tolerance and proof of stake. So they've merged the two. They've got security down, decentralization down, and scalability. They've been able to solve these because they've seen Ethereum struggle with these issues. Whereas Ethereum has to retrofit all of these new expectations that you and I will have, and anybody else interacting with NFTs or play to earn or DeFi have these expectations, because we're using Solana, we're using Fantom. Therefore, we're going to go, why are your transaction fees not like this, Ethereum? Why is your security not like this? Why are you so centralized? But the problem is they need to retrofit it. So even if they get ETH 2.0 right and they can figure out proof of stake, that solves one issue, but then it brings up another issue of centralization. Right? So they're constantly going to have to be fixing things in hindsight, which is a very difficult thing to do, right? It's trying to like decorate your home after you've moved in. Very difficult to do when you're living in there and people creating mess and moving about. It's difficult to paint the wall and pull the carpets off, right? But that's the challenge Ethereum have to do. Now, the reality is there's always going to be innovation. And that's the beautiful thing. Like the generation 3 layer ones are going to come with even better technology. And then it's a case of, okay, how does Fantom deal with that? How does the Lunas deal with that? How does Solana deal with that? How does Ethereum do that? So my view on this is the blockchain which is going to win is going to be the ones that can do two things. The first one is attract the best dApp developers. And if I come onto here, shout out to DeFi Intro, who did a summary here because I didn't listen to the full interview by Andre Cronje, but he paraphrased him in saying that Andre Cronje, one of the best DeFi minds and critical to some of the best DeFi projects on Fantom, says if it's good for builders, they will build. And if they build, people will come. That's what makes Fantom superior, made for builders by builders with a great mindset. And I love this, guys, because if you know, this is what I've been talking about for a long time, which is Fantom or any layer 1 blockchain is only as good as the developers who come and build on it. You can have the shiniest app store, right? Beautiful icons, fast, secure, cheap, effective. If nobody's coming and building iOS apps, nobody's going to buy your phone, right? It's irrelevant. But same with Android. You've got to have the developers on the network building the apps. And it doesn't mean that the developers who build for Android will not build for iPhone. Most times they build for both because there's an audience for both. So perhaps we're going to see that, and we are seeing that in our DeFis, in our NFT plays, in our play to earn games. There's no reason you can't have an Ethereum version and then move it across to Fantom. And that brings me on to my other point, which is Fantom. One of its biggest flaws right now, which a lot of people don't talk about, and I'm open here to talk about it because I'm not trying to pump anything, I'm not trying to anything. It's built using the Ethereum virtual machine and it's built using Solidity. So the big step which they're working on right now is getting the Fantom virtual machine, FVM, up and ready. When it does that, that's going to be a big step because it will no longer then be fully reliant on the Ethereum ecosystem. Because at the moment, if Ethereum was to collapse and Solidity and the rest of it was to collapse, that's not great for Fantom because it means less dApp developers know Solidity, less dApp developers have built apps on Solidity, meaning less of those apps can then port across to Fantom. Okay, so this is an important thing to understand. And so the ultimate question is, will it flip? We're yet to know. But the important blockchains, the blockchains which are going to win, are the ones which are most adaptable to survive, the ones that can iterate, that can pivot, that can, when new technology comes out, they can figure out how to improve their project. Because yes, Fantom may be state-of-the-art technology right now, just like Ethereum was when it launched. But now Ethereum has realized, hang on a second, there's new technology. We need to figure out how to get it into our platform. Okay, same when Fantom. In 2-3 years' time, there'll be new technology. There'll be a new layer 1 solution which is doing something completely new, a new consensus mechanism, something more scalable, something more decentralized. And Fantom will need to figure it out. And that, just to change subject, is one of the reasons I love Cardano and Charles Hodgkinson, because they do things like that. They're constantly at the edge of the technology at peer review level, at the academic level, which means that they're always going to be able to have that process of saying, how do we improve our technology stack based on the advancements in technology and science? Okay, there you go. So that's what I'm seeing here on Fantom. And just to kind of come back to the charts and bring that back a full circle, what we need to see here on Fantom, here on the hourly chart, is, let me just go back to the other one actually. Our important levels to the downside are, as I said, 208, which we need to hold 208. Okay, if we're going to carry on in this downtrend from where we fell out of our ascending wedge, then we want to look at 208. And then if we need to head lower, then you're looking at 194 before you then meet the full bear side case to the bottom of the wedge, which is 187. Naturally, we're going to have to pay attention to Bitcoin to see how Bitcoin reacts over the weekend. Volumes are going to be thin over the weekend, so we may have to wait till Monday for a true picture of how the market digested the CPI report. CPI comes out on a Thursday, which is always tricky because Thursday is always a horrible day when the CPI comes out. Friday, they're trying to digest it, but Friday is a weird day because a lot of institutions kind of do half days on their desk or they're just not quite in it. And then Monday, after digesting it over the weekend, they come in with their positions, knowing what they want to do and kind of what moves they want to take. So we'll definitely get a better view in terms of the NASDAQ, the S&P and Bitcoin and get some direction on Monday as to what's going on. We may even hear from the Fed if there was any announcement from their planned meeting, which wasn't an emergency meeting. So we'll wait to hear from that. Overall, on the daily chart, just to show you this on the daily, it's really important here on Fantom that when Bitcoin gets moving, we need to flip our EMA ribbon. We need to get above it, okay? And in order to get above it, if I just bring us in there, we just need to get a close at about 226, 227 to close above our EMA ribbon. So for us, we need to build back to this ascending wedge, which we fell out from. If I head back into the 4-hourly chart, just as we fell out, we need to go and re-enter just back in there and get back into trend. Okay, if we can get back into here, if we then go back to the daily, leaving my drawing in, you will see that that white line takes us back above our EMA ribbon. Okay, you can see that just there. That white line which we drew, the arrow, gets us back above our EMA ribbon. A close there along the yellow line back into our trend line will give us a move to the upside. Now, looking at the same on Bitcoin, same daily chart, you can see Bitcoin is still bullish, right? Bitcoin is still above its EMA ribbon, and it's coming to almost do a nice retest, which is good, which is a good sign, because we had a big move to the upside. Despite what's happened, we've just had a bit of retest. You can see it there. You've just taken a retest, and now we want to bounce to the upside. We want to come off this strongly and bounce to the upside. You can see how the wick came all the way down here, but we managed to buy the dip there and build that back up after the negative inflation report, which shows the strengths of the bulls right now here in the crypto market. And the reality is people are looking for yield, right? Right now in this market, investors and money will not want to be sitting on the sides. They're going to want to be looking for yield. And given the market, your only real hedge against inflation on a long-term time frame view for the funds and the people who are going to lock their money up for a while, the long-term holders, is Bitcoin. It is the long-term hedge against inflation. And then if you're looking for yields, when banks are offering you 0.01% on your bank account, in your savings account, where are you going to go to? You're going to go to DeFi. And that's why we're seeing coins like Luna up 3.43% today. We're seeing Fantom have 1% up today, because people are going into these plays and looking for DeFi. And even if they're not using some of these coins, at the very least, they're going into USDC and USDT to go stake some stable coins, right? So the crypto market's going to benefit from that, because when people start moving into USDC, USDT, just to get a couple of 6% on their stable coins, that's normally the first time for them to get addicted and start saying, hang on a second, this crypto is for real. Let me try an altcoin here. Let me try an altcoin there. Let me try some Bitcoin. Let me try some yield farming and staking. And then they continue on. So it's a good gateway drug to get more people into the crypto ecosystem. As always, guys, hope you enjoyed this blend between technical and fundamental analysis here on Fantom. Hope you guys have a good weekend. If you appreciate this type of content, make sure you're hitting up that like button and subscribing. Can we get to 150 likes on this video, guys? We've hit that 6K subscriber mark. Surely we can get 150 likes on this video. As always, support NordVPN. Link in description. They've been kind enough to offer 70% off your VPNs. Make sure you're staying safe in crypto, guys. You know, I can't stress that enough. Like, I literally use them every single day. I'm always logged into my NordVPN, and definitely when I'm logging into the exchanges, I do so through a VPN. So make sure you get set up on VPN. As always, guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.